the 3 Knockdown Rule in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mr. Mario Lopez. And what a special show. We have a special studio audience
I'm
today.
going to forgive you for not giving me a moniker. I was expecting a GOT moniker.
Or
because
Manhattan Mario Lopez.
Well, that was too late. That was too late because I wanted to call Knuckles our Tyrion Lannister.
Oh,
He's the little dude, but he's the hand.
Ooh.
He's the smart one. He's the clever one. So
There we
that is props. Yeah, we've got a full Lopez house today. Mom and Dad here with the 3
well,
Knockdown
your dad's
Rule.
looking sharp.
My dad's looking sharp. I'm
looking
gonna have to post a pic
sharp.
with his 3 Knockdown Rule sweatshirt. My mom has one, but she's, she had to come looking fly. She's gonna rock it later.
All right, we've got so much to talk about. I just got back from the Big Apple this past weekend for ESPN's foray into the pay-per-view market.
You're Manhattan Kim.
Yes, the WBO welterweight title is retained by Terence "Bud" Crawford, moving to 35-0, 26 knockouts, scoring a very unusual TKO, 6 rounds over Amir Khan, in an unintentional low blow. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It was a very unsatisfying ending.
It was anticlimactic, that's for sure. I was wrong in the sense that I thought Khan had a little bit more left in the tank, and I thought his punch resistance wasn't as – or it seems like it's gotten worse. No, I knew it was suspect. But could it get worse? Does punch resistance actually get worse? I don't know, but it seems like it has for Khan. He didn't used to get buzzed as often or as much. Look, the speed's still there, and he did have his moments, okay? But he's sort of like a guy, and I don't know why Roy Jones comes to mind, and I don't mean to make the comparison. Other than that, he's a guy who's gifted with great athleticism, but never really became fundamentally sound. Because I never see him really step in with that jab, followed up. The chin's always a little bit high. He throws those punches in bunches. But Crawford, who is just a savant there, when he timed him with that little counter right and went over the top, then I think at that point he knew, okay, I can hurt this guy anytime I want. I'm going to have there's going to be some defensive lapses because I feel comfortable in there. I think it would have fought him if he knew there was the potential of some damage coming back in a very real possibility of that, but there wasn't. And like I said, he did have his moments, but Crawford was in complete control.
The master.
He started off conventional and eventually switched to southpaw like he does, and got him out of there in impressive fashion. And I say I was wrong because I thought Khan might make I thought I was going to see the Khan that showed up for Canelo in the first few rounds, where it was really interesting and he looked very impressive. That's not the guy we have anymore. And I think there has been too many chinks in that armor, and we may have seen the best of him. But you know what? Like I said, I was always still a fan because he's a guy who never turned down a fight and still went in there to try to win.
Yeah, one note here. Talked to Virgil Hunter after the fight. He basically said that, hey, my fighter says he really couldn't continue, and he's already debilitated. I believe that they both kind of looked at each other, and there was this understanding. This ain't getting any better, and we're in New York City. And you know what's a lot in New York City? One-way traffic. And it was all Crawford's direction.
Hey,
and the other point
the job of the trainer is to protect your fighter at all times.
Absolutely. And what you said about Amir Khan and the comparison to Roy Jones in that particular aspect is very apt. Yes, is that when you are young and you have explosiveness, twitchiness, and reflexes, once those things start to dull with old age, if fundamentally you do not correct your flaws, all of a sudden you are very vulnerable.
You'll be exposed.
It's like a basketball player. A lot of these guys, when they're young and they can jump out the gym, they have the 45-inch vertical, they play over the rim. How many guys can become Vince Carter to evolve their game that even if they lose 7 or 8 inches off their vertical, they're still scoring 20 points a game? The one thing about Amir Khan, he doesn't control his speed. In that first knockdown, he doesn't understand distance and spacing.
Right.
And when you do that to Terence Crawford, he will he'll do a Ginsu. He'll slice you and he'll dice you.
Yep.
And to see him as relaxed as he was in that ring, this is a guy that's going to be very difficult, and he's one of the most impossible fighters to really prepare for. You don't know if you're going to prepare for an orthodox fighter or a southpaw, because he's just as good out of either stance.
And he's the best at making adjustments.
Yeah.
He does understand distance and timing probably better than anyone. And I love that when he's got you hurt, he's got that nasty streak where he wants to take you out.
He's
now,
ornery.
He's an ornery guy. Yeah, and you know what? I kind of like that he's, I don't want to say boring, but he doesn't play the game as much to want to try to sell the tickets. He's an old school fighter, goes in there, He's just kind of like a surly
he ain't
guy.
Mr. Personality.
Not Mr. Personality, but hey, he is. I'd rather that and have the guy go in the ring and do what he does than as opposed to a guy that's all talk and he gets in the ring and stinks out the joint. Immediately after that fight, you start playing mythical matchmaker, and you're like, okay, based on the last 2 performances, who do I favor?
There's one fight.
There's one fight.
There's one fight.
And that's Spence. So that's what I did. But then I immediately think, and we'll get to that, if that's going to get consummated or not. But then who did you think going in would you have to favor? Where would you put odds in the hopefully inevitable fight with Spence
in my view,
and
that
Crawford?
fight was a true 50-50 fight.
Was.
But yes, but I will say this. In talking to most of the boxing people that I really trust, the matchmakers, the managers that have more of a trained professional eye than I do, some of the people that I defer to, I would say the majority believe that the foot speed, the length, and the athleticism of Crawford would best Errol Spence. That's the consensus that I'm getting from the insiders.
Interesting. I've always sort of given him a little bit of an edge in my book, too. By the way, that's a really evenly matched.
Cutting hairs there, splitting hairs.
You're splitting hairs there. You're splitting hairs. But I think because for those factors that you just mentioned, you might have to lean a little bit more towards Crawford. And then I haven't seen anything where look at the guys he's gone up against too, all the different styles. And then with like a Victor Posto, which I thought was going to be a really
mastered him too.
And
he was awkward and tall.
Yes, that's my point exactly. So he can figure out all these guys and deal with the speed. There's nothing for me to believe that he's not going to have, I don't want to say have his way, but he's not going to have success against Spence.
Well, speaking of that fight, one of the time-honored traditions for a top-ranked fight is the Bob Father, Bob Arum, sauntering over to press row and giving a State of the Union address. And I asked him, when does he make the call to Mr. Al Heyman for an Errol Spence fight?
What did he have to say?
You guys, you writers have to understand. I don't care what publications you write for, what website, who's supporting it. Al Heyman won't make fights. Wilder didn't fight Joshua. Why? Because Al Heyman. Right? Spence won't fight Crawford, not because of Spence, because Al Heyman. He's running a scam and a company, and people have to realize that. He is ruining the sport of boxing. You know, not to agree to make a Spence fight with Crawford, which is a fight that all fight fans want. Why? Why? Because he's running a scam operation. I'm telling you, he will only have his fighters fight with his own camp unless he gets opponents that he knows his fighters can beat. That's a scam. That's a guy who's not developing fighters, who's not getting young kids, who, like Teofimo Lopez, like Shakur Stevenson, who are going to be big stars because they're matched. He is a scamster. And unless he's called out, unless you people get off your ass and call him out, it's going to continue. I really put a lot of the blame on the boxing writers. It is inexcusable not to make fights that people want to see. It's inexcusable. Now, I don't believe that he thinks that Spence is going to beat Crawford. Now, some people think that Spence is going to beat Crawford, and Spence thinks that he can beat Crawford. I know that for a fact. But Al Heyman doesn't believe that Spence will beat Crawford, and he won't do the fight. And said, well, he did Mayweather and Pacquiao. He did Mayweather and Pacquiao because Les Moonves forced him to do that. Les Moonves said Showtime wouldn't put on another one of his fights unless he agreed for Mayweather to fight Pacquiao. Now, God, you guys got to realize what a scam is going on, right? A guy got $500 from a mutual fund, pissed it all away. He's a scamster.
So, Mario, Arum was, wow, he was really feeling it. He may have hit Jimmy's corner before that fight because he was calling him a scamster. He was also saying, hey, don't listen to the white guys. I didn't get that part. Here's the question, though. Not that I disagree with anything Arum said. We know that Heyman has a bit of a reputation of being obstructionist, as Kathy Duval put it a couple years ago. But last week, or a couple weeks ago, when he visited our show, he basically threw out the olive branch to Mr. Heyman. Okay, so on Saturday, he seemed to throw a Molotov cocktail.
He's trying different tactics.
Yeah, so my question is this. While the rhetoric might be true, did he actually do more harm than good with these statements?
Well, clearly the first strategy may not have worked, or he didn't get any traction. Maybe this one will. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, Spence has a lot of options over on his side of the street, right? But the biggest business that can be made and the most money that both fighters can make is a fight between the two of them. And I just don't want Spence to outgrow the division. And I love that Arum is campaigning and cheerleading for this fight to happen now, rather than take the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight route. And hopefully Spence starts to get on Heyman and they start to at least engage in conversations.
Well, I put up a Twitter poll, and again, this is not the Gallup poll. There's something very unscientific. I put two choices. In the welterweight division, what fight do you want to see? Crawford-Spence or anything else? And the last time I checked with about 1,000 or so votes, it was 93% for Crawford-Spence, 7% for anything other, and I want to question those 7%, their sanity. As far as I'm concerned, there's one fight to make. Look,
forget the welterweight division. I think that's the number one fight to make in
all of boxing.
In all boxing.
We've said, yes.
Right? I would say that. That's number one on my Mount Rushmore.
It's no worse than number two, and if you have a list that doesn't include that fight, I'm beginning to think you don't like boxing. Look, they're both undefeated. They're both in their physical prime. They're both bringing fan bases. Look, this is great news for Terence Crawford. We don't have the ESPN pay-per-view numbers out, but on that particular night, this past weekend, there were 14,000 people in New York City.
Right. A guy from Nebraska. Exactly.
But facing a guy from England who wasn't Ricky Hatton, because there's only one Ricky Hatton. But the fact that Terence Crawford can draw 14,000 as a guy from Big 12 country, essentially, that says a lot, that he's drawn pretty well in Vegas. He draws very, very well in Omaha, and he draws very well now in New York.
The power of ESPN.
And then Errol Spence showed that, hey, I have my own fan base. What's keeping these guys? Make the fight. I don't think there's anything else to make. I don't think there's anything else to discuss. And look, you talk about the Errol Spence options. Let's go through those options exactly on PBC. Sean Porter, that last fight, do you think he beat Ugas?
No, we discussed that, and we had him losing that fight, yes.
So that's the guy that everyone is going to say, oh, my God, Spence is fighting Porter?
No, I'm not agreeing
with
that.
but I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and then the other part
is Thurman.
Who struggled a little bit against Jose Cito Lopez.
Right, exactly.
Manny Pacquiao. Now, this is a double standard. 2-3 years ago, when Bob would bring up Pacquiao versus Crawford, everyone in the media said, oh, my God, they're going to get this old guy hurt. That's terrible of Bob Arum. Okay, so now you're okay with Pacquiao fighting that buzzsaw who's a bigger, meaner puncher?
Well, Pacquiao's not going to want any part
as Aretha Franklin once said, who's zooming who?
Right.
Okay? Let's stop that. One fight. One last thing on Amir Khan. I believe that his days as a big-name marquee fighter are over. Perhaps there's a regional rivalry still left to take care of against Kell Brook.
Did he salvage that fight? I don't know.
No, because you know what's funny? When coming home on my flight from United, I ended up watching this documentary on Evel Knievel, who I loved as a kid.
Oh, I heard that's good.
And you know what? I wish my flight would have been diverted for another half hour because I missed the last 30 minutes.
Oh, God.
But I got right to the point when Evel, Snake River Canyon, where it was a complete failure. And Bob Arum was the promoter, by the way.
I remember that.
And it turned out that Evel sabotaged himself and took the safe way out by pushing the parachute early. And it really stained his reputation. That in the past, you could respect Evel when he's crashing all over, breaking 15 ribs and 3 ankles.
Right.
This one here, people said, you took the safe way out.
Wow. That's savage, though.
Right.
The crowd.
No, but that's my point. But the point you made
Maybe he just wasn't feeling it.
Right, but the last week you said, look, with Amir Khan, no matter what happens, we respect the way he goes out.
Yes.
This one here, he kind of
circuitous route to make your point, but you're right.
He Snake River Canyon did.
Yeah, so now you're exactly right. So now it's time.
Mario, Teofimo Lopez, we're all aboard the Express, okay? We're driving it.
Teofimo Lopez, who I'm a big fan of him.
But there's some issues.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. But he needs to slow down that Vasily Lomachenko talk. He needs to pump those brakes, okay? We said we can't feed steak to a baby. Can't get there too soon. It was a nice workmanlike approach. Look, the kid looks like he's bursting out of the seams. I don't know how much longer he can make lightweight. He's a thick, strong kid, but fast. I love the way he started working the body. And beautiful whenever you get a guy out with that right to the body. That was nice, and that was a guy that hadn't been stopped. So, it was a great win, but nevertheless, nothing there. If you're comparing performances to Lomachenko's, led me to believe that he's ready for Lomachenko now.
Yeah, how long can he make 35? In the immortal words of the great Martin Luther King, how long? Not long. And look, I don't think the timing's going to work out. Here's the bigger issue. And Edis Tatley in 33 fights, I don't think he'd ever been knocked down. So that says a lot. So again, how you win is important. Now, here's what concerns me about Teofimo Lopez and talking to some of the people on the inside. There are some real issues personally. He's getting engaged. The family may not like it. Then he also admitted after the fight, I only trained a couple of weeks. I heard he trained no more than 10 days.
Wait, come on.
Yeah, because he's in New York now with the girlfriend. He moved back to Brooklyn.
No.
The family's in the gated community in Las Vegas.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He went back with the girl. Oh, no. I'm not liking this at all.
Not liking that at all.
No.
A lot of concern there,
Listen,
Lopez.
There's
boy.
A good woman can really help anchor you and be supportive and really take you next level at the right time in your life. What is he, 21?
21.
Oh, no. Way too young. His dad cannot be happy with
look, the top-ranked people, they want to call a meeting.
She's all wrong for us.
She's all wrong for us. She is. She is all wrong for us, baby. We don't need that kind of woman in our life right now.
Well, no, but she looks like a nice person. The problem is the father would rather have him in Vegas where they could have a real training camp. If you think
you can't be a half-ass part-time fighter.
Yeah, could you
that
imagine?
That doesn't work.
If you're facing a big, strong guy like Comey, who's durable and has a hammer right hand, you better have a full camp.
Yeah, you think?
I mean,
exactly.
So my understanding is
that could be the bit. We know he's the hottest, or in our eyes, the hottest prospect. But he could be his own worst enemy if he starts making decisions like this.
Yeah, well, I think the great Ernest Hemingway once said that more women have ruined fighters than right hands. That Ernest was such a wise man. Good writer, too.
5 analogies already.
Yeah, I'm on a roll. Also on this card, featherweight Shakur Stevenson, 10-round decision over Christopher Petufo Diaz, and Felix Verdejo with a gutty 10-round decision over Brian Vasquez. 3,000 miles away on Fox from the Dignity Stub Depot in Carson, California. Danny Garcia stops Adrian Granados in 7. Mario, I don't want to take too much away from Danny Garcia, but Granados is a rugged, tough guy, but he looked faded. He looked slower than usual. His punch resistance looked very, very worn down. I think there was a bit of a mirage. Everyone told me how good Danny Garcia looked. Honestly, I thought a lot of this was about Granados.
Well, maybe it was a combination, but I thought Danny looked very poised. His punches weren't fast at all necessarily.
They weren't swift.
But ironically, but he was very methodical and I thought calculated. And timing beats speed, as we know, and I thought Danny showed a good example of that. I thought it was a pretty impressive performance against a pretty solid guy where he's sort of back in the mix now. I really do. It may be of which, but nevertheless, it was a very capable opponent. That
it was. But
that I thought he looked good enough to kind of get himself back in that mix, in the PBC mix, I should say.
There's a reason why when you talk to Freddie Roach, and I'm sure you've spoken to about it too, Mario, and you say, for Manny Pacquiao, which fight do you want? He absolutely says Danny Garcia. Because first of all, Danny has slow feet, and he's a little bit one-dimensional with that front side, the left hook.
Right.
Also, his punches are wide.
Yeah, no, listen.
I mean, he's about to hit the referee, the corner rope, and then his opponent. I mean, Manny would come right up the middle on him, in my view.
Well, the OG Manny. We don't know the Manny now. I think it's an interesting fight. And the fights he has lost, Garcia, they were close. It wasn't like got in there and got blasted out either. So, I thought based on that performance, he kept himself in the PBC mix.
Yeah, heavyweights in action. Mario, Andy Ruiz will never again. He'll never have a six-pack of abs. He has more of a keg.
Don't body shame him.
But this guy has skills, man. Fluidity, hand speed, crispness of combinations.
Dude, for a chubby little Mexican dude, he's very athletic.
Yeah.
He let those hands go.
Look, and Dimitrenko had won 41 fights, and he usually goes rounds. He just absolutely dominated him over 5 rounds. I think Ruiz on any given night, maybe against not the top 3 guys, against any other heavyweight, he's live. Ooh. Very live.
Him against Miller?
Well, more on him later.
Well, I know, but I was just playing that.
With or without drug testing?
Oh.
Yeah, I went there.
Well, let's go there now.
Okay, big news. We'll get to some more fights later. But the story that really dominated late last week before the Crawford fight was Jarrell Miller, a guy that I know very well, very personable. He was supposed to fight June 1st against Anthony Joshua at the Madison Square Garden. He failed not once, not twice, 3 times a lady. And every time that a drug test came in, I mean, by the time the third one, he had more drugs in him than a CVS. I mean, come on.
Man.
He was more juice than Minute Maid.
Oh, man.
That is bad.
I was so looking forward to this fight.
Say
this
it
is a
ain't
real
so,
fight.
Jarrell.
Oh,
God.
man. Now you're going Hall & Oates. I was really looking forward to this fight. I'm obviously favoring Joshua, but I thought, you know what? If Miller can maybe let his hands go.
Late rounds.
You never know. He could have an outside shot. Well, clearly he wasn't as confident in himself because he started to take this route, and it's very disappointing. Where do you think this puts – we'll get to Joshua in a second, but where do you think this puts Miller? What are the consequences at this point?
If I'm Commissioner Kim, and I don't believe in just blanket lifetime bans, because you start going down a slippery slope.
No, because listen, not to deviate, but like T.J. Dillashaw recently got busted for PEDs in UFC. 2 years suspension.
Right.
2 years.
Right.
That's a lot.
And there's other situations where people do ingest tainted supplements that you buy from GNC. So every case has to be looked upon as its own singular entity. Here's the problem with my boy Big Baby. This is not the first time. You go back to his kickboxing days.
Oh, yeah, he got pinched there. He got pinched there?
Yes. So there's a history.
That's not a good look.
And the other thing is, Mario, what's that old saying when you point the finger?
There's 4 pointing back.
I mean, the stuff he was saying at Anthony Joshua, he was giving more shade than an oak tree. And then all of a sudden, Q Alanis, I mean, isn't this ironic? It's a bad look. In my view. And again, I'm not judge and jury. I just play one on the 3 knockdown rule. The more I think about it, I would say the suspension would have to be at least 2 years.
Whoa.
At least.
Whoa. In boxing, this is his first though.
Right. Well,
it
can't be 6 months because 6 months is one fight.
I thought a year. 2 years. You're getting like I said, the UFC did the 2, but
3 different drug tests.
Yeah,
and it kept coming back with more stuff. EPO, HGH. Wow.
He needs to get like a good Conti guy in his corner.
Next time, Jarrell, Flintstone vitamins are good.
So now what comes?
And when he comes back, 24/7, 365, year-round, random drug testing for the rest of his career.
I agree. Now, what becomes of Joshua?
All right, spoke with Sir Edward Hearn of Matchroom, who will be joining us.
He's going to be joining us on
Friday. Hopefully, he could break the story then. Hint, hint, Eddie. The show must go on. They are on Broadway, and so it doesn't matter if it's you or me. If you could put on a few pounds, Mario, you might be a good B-side. But look, they've reached out to people. People have reached out to them. Bottom line is they have about 10,000 seats sold from the UK.
Wow.
And I think a lot of UK fans, they love going to Vegas, and they love New York City. So for a lot of them, look, Eddie said it best. He said, Steve, this is the Anthony Joshua show. Okay, now I believe a dark horse in this race to get the event. Remember Michael Hunter fought Alexander Usyk, won like the first 3 rounds against him, but got kind of worn down. He's a pretty good heavyweight, put on some weight, good solid U.S. Olympic background, signed with Matchroom Sports. I think he makes sense.
Well, a spectacular performance for his American debut would bode well and would cause a lot of hype for the hopeful inevitable showdown with Wilder. So that might be the case.
Yes, but the show will move forward. Friday at the Forum on The Zone. I think one of the best cards of the year on paper. It's the rematch. Sikrisat Sorongvasai against Juan Francisco Estrada. Mario, you know what I remember about that fight being the tale of 2 cities?
Well, I also remember that I called it correctly and you were I beat you.
No. I thought Sorongvasai didn't beat Roman Gonzalez. Me and you were split on that. I did think he was too strong for Estrada, but however, the momentum of that fight, I thought by rounds 11 and 12, Estrada realized I better just be able to take these left hands and get into exchanges, but I do think Sorongvasai did win the first fight by building up a pretty significant lead. How do you think the rematch goes?
I think the same way. I think he's really... I think Sorongvasai is really the cream of the crop of that division, and there's some talent there. So I don't see it any different.
No
to tell
different.
You the truth. I mean, I really don't. I think he comes in even with more confidence in his rematches. I think he comes in overwhelms you. He doesn't have. You haven't heard of problems him making the weight, right?
No.
Slowing down. And if that's the case, I think he's a heavy-handed guy. He puts a lot of pressure. He lets his hands go, and he's strong. I think that eventually wears you down.
You know what? I think Estrada has a shot here. I think it's going to be
I'm
a
not
closer
saying he doesn't have a
fight.
shot, and I'm not saying, but I think he eventually will prove to be too much. Estrada definitely has a shot. He's a talented, very skilled guy. I'm just saying, I just think inevitably, at the end of the day, that he'll prove to be too much. But
Earlier in the fight this time around, Estrada has to be willing to walk through left hands and get Rungvisai into exchanges because he does throw crisper, cleaner combinations. Also on this bill, unification bout at 122, Danny, the Roman Empire, takes on TJ Doheny in what is his Southern California homecoming. He had a chance to speak to the WBA champion a few weeks back. Danny, the last time you fought in Southern California, I believe, was November of 2016. From that point on, right off the top of your head, can you tell me every place you fought since then?
After November 2016, that was at the Thompson Show.
Right.
And after that, the beginning of the year, 2017, January, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And after that, it was Japan in September, I believe.
Yeah.
Then we went back again, 2018, the beginning of 2018 in Japan, Texas.
Right.
And the last one, Chicago.
Wow. So, what's that been like being the road warrior?
It's been tiring, busy, but we're willing to go anywhere to fight.
I asked you this last year, and you kind of shrugged off the question. Has your life changed now? Because a lot's happened. You're an established world champion. You signed with the Zone, headlining your own cards at the Forum. Has anything changed since the time I last asked you this particular question?
No, nothing has changed. I'm still the same guy. Still want to achieve more. I still want to prove to the people that I'm a real champion and still going for the rest of the championships.
Mm-hmm. You have a chance to unify the title against TJ Doheny April 26th at the Forum. Putting all that aside, obviously it's a big fight. What's it going to be like for you to headline in front of your friends and family in a historic venue like the Forum?
You know what? Well, we'll see after what happens after the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's the biggest fight of my career, and it's just not anywhere. It's in my own backyard where I grew up in the city of Inglewood. So all my friends and family are gonna be there for sure. So, hey, this is the moment.
So last time you're in LA, it was at the Doubletree Hotel in Ontario. Now it's the Forum. You look at this as a milestone achievement in your career. It has to be something special, don't you think?
Yes. I've been all the way to Japan, Texas, Chicago. So and finally, this is the biggest fight of my career. Unifying the belts against TJ Doheny, and not just anywhere. The city of Inglewood, the city I grew up in.
How many friends and family do you expect, and who's handling your ticket requests?
I'm sending them to Eddie,
Okay, your manager.
Eddie's dealing with that, my manager, and a lot of people are letting me know that they're going to be there, friends, family, and fans too.
I have a question. Since you're fighting at home, but there is a fight hotel the week of the fight or the night before, will you be sleeping in your own bed, or will you be at the hotel?
I'll be at the hotel. I don't want any distractions, I'm taking this fight really serious. With nothing, TJ's a great champion, He did the same thing I did. He went all the way to Japan to win the world title. So it's not an easy fight. So I'm taking this like I always do. I'm going to stay in the hotel even though it's I'm fighting in my own city. So I'm still doing what I regularly do.
When you're making some major money now, you're in a different tax bracket. Have you bought anything extravagant? Do you have 5 new cars? Do you have a yacht? Do you have a mansion? I mean, well, give me something you've bought with the recent earnings.
No, I'm saving up to buy my house.
Okay.
That's my goal right now, and hopefully after this fight, we can do something about it.
Is there a particular area that you would want to move to? Anything you've looked at?
Not yet. I'll look at it after the fight. I got this fight, and I don't want no distractions right now.
Okay. So Mario, the question is, the masses want to know: are you going to be there at the Forum on Friday night? It's a good show.
It sounds
Drive
like
down.
Yeah. Oh, who's hooking me up? Who's got?
We got a
Who
guy.
got hit up? Who am I? Is that Eddie?
Yeah,
Eddie Show. I'm gonna hit him up that day.
Eddie's got you.
Okay,
Don't worry about it.
I got to hit him. He likes that WhatsApp. I'm gonna hit him on the WhatsApp.
Yeah, and by the way, he might even sit right next to you, so you're good.
Let's do it.
Don't worry about
it.
Saturday night, it's showtime in Viva Las Vegas for the regular WB 135-pound title.
My
Robert
dad's telling me he
Easter.
wants to go, so now
You
that
know
means
what?
we're gonna have to go.
You know what?
You want to go to the fight, Dad?
Yeah,
He's gonna wear the 3 knockdown. Oh, look at representing.
Eddie, we need another one. Lopez +2, please. Okay. So Saturday, Las Vegas, Robert Easter takes us Rancis Barthélemy, and then junior welterweight Victor Postal returns. But Mario, the guy that I'm looking forward to is a heavyweight. Again, I don't know if he can really fight. I know we can punch. I'm looking forward to the return of Efe Ajagbe.
Oh, yeah.
What a puncher this guy is.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
News and notes. May 18th. Mario, Gary Russell. I don't know what to really say. I don't think he gives a damn. He's facing his one fight a year on May 18th underneath Wilder Brazil against the remnants of Kiko Martinez. I think this has been a completely wasted career. I think he's the best featherweight in the world. There's no actual evidence on paper.
Outside of Lomachenko, I think you're right. What happened there? You're going to look back at that and say, wow, that's a big what could have been.
Yeah, exactly. And Mario, your thoughts. Look, I think we've been very, very big fans of Gennady Golovkin. June 8th, he's taking on Steve California Rolls. Do you give him a pass for this?
What? Steve California Rolls.
Well, he's going to be in California tomorrow.
Right, got it. Listen, this was all to preserve the Canelo Triple G.
So are you good with it?
Trilogy. You know what? I'm okay with it because I know what's coming, okay? So I'm okay with it. They don't want to match him, obviously, that tough. There's no gimmies in boxing.
So as long as it's Canelo.
Yes.
As long as you're Canelo, you're going to give him the pass.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Oh, will you not? I think so.
Yeah, I guess.
You think so. I think so. And both of those fights, too, which were classics, and obviously as time goes by, Canelo
ascending.
It looks
Golovkin's
like a heavy favorite.
37.
I still go that I thought Triple G won the first one. The second one I thought was a little bit more of a draw. I don't have a problem with Canelo getting the nod, so it would have made it a little bit. I think the public feels that way for the most part. Yeah. So I'm okay with the third one happening in September.
June 20th, heavyweight battle. Number 1 position in the WBC is on the line. This was just announced over the weekend. Dillian White takes on Oscar Rivas. And then June 23rd, this is a Sunday, I believe, on Fox. Tony Harrison takes on Jermell Charlo. I'm interested because I'm not going to lie to you. I thought Charlo clearly won that first fight. Obviously, the judges disagreed. Let's go to the Ask Mario segment of the show. Here's from Joe Luis. After the recent fights, who deserves to be the number 1 on the mythical pound-for-pound list?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I think we may have seen him in the last 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, no, I think you listen.
Both through good crowds, too.
Here's, I think, a better question. After Lomachenko and Crawford, or Crawford-Lomachenko, who's the number 3?
Oh, I think there's a fearsome foursome, and my list was put up on.
Okay,
Look,
let's see it.
Crawford-Lomachenko, you could flip a coin. 3 and 4, I would put Usyk and Takashi Inoue.
I don't have a problem with that, but I think if you're going to put a top 5, I honestly think still Canelo goes in there.
That was my 5th.
Yeah, I still think or he's even the 4. He's even in the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, but I think, there. And I would say Golovkin's still in the top 10, but he's kind of, again, downslide.
We'll see.
Father time, but we shall see.
Exactly.
Here's a question from Michael Elliott. With everyone trying to get the Pac-Man sweepstakes, who do you think will get the payday? I think a Crawford fight would be easier to make. Spence is too dangerous, and Keith Thurman won't draw enough interest. Thoughts? Well, the problem is, if Al Heyman and the PBC now have the Pac-Man, they're not giving them back to Terence Crawford.
No. So it's I think based on this past weekend, too, it's either a Danny Garcia or maybe a Keith Thurman.
Here's a fantasy fight from Clay Stevenson, loyal fan of ours. Who wins at 135 and 140 between Oscar and Terence Crawford?
You know, Oscar at 135 was a beast,
man. He was strong.
Strong, super fast, long and tall. Ooh. You know what? I'm leaning towards Oscar. I think he keeps him at bay with that jab.
Yeah.
I think he keeps him at bay with that jab. And I think because of his strength, too, maybe catches him with that. Yeah, God, he was a beast at 135. He was destroying guys.
I would slightly favor Oscar, especially the one that had Jesus Rivero as his trainer. Right. I thought that should have been his trainer for the rest of his career. Yeah. And look, he executed very well off that jab. From Kaiser Clark, will we see an Usyk-Gassiev rematch at heavyweight, and does the weight change the fight? Unfortunately, I don't. You cannot teach foot speed, and to me, Usyk will always be the more mobile, quicker guy that can hit on the fly.
I agree, unless Gassiev was killing himself to make that weight, but I don't think was the case, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Jeff Zimmerman, how would Spence and Crawford do against the big four, Leonard, Hearns, Duran, Hagler? Here's the problem. I don't even think it's fair to compare. First of all, this generation, they can barely fight against themselves.
Right.
What is their track record that we can go off of here?
That's exactly what I was about to say. There's not enough credibility built up in their resumes to make a fair comparison.
And finally, from Southpaw _315, what was more impressive, the way Crawford handled Khan or what Garcia did to Granados?
Well, based on your theory, where Khan, you thought, well, you're sort of saying, but I'm sorry, based on your theory, when you said Granados was not the same and essentially saying he was a shot fighter, there were, I guess, and then I said it wasn't the same Khan that we're used to seeing. They were both tough outs, but I think as far as caliber of opponent,
Crawford.
Crawford.
Look,
it is.
That version of Amir Khan, in my view, this past weekend,
still beats a lot of guys.
would have beat Granados.
Yeah, that's true. That's the way you got to look at it.
Yeah.
That's the way you got to look at it.
I mean,
yes.
Granados at times looked like he was under a swimming pool. Like, he
true.
looked so slow.
Right.
Anyway, we wrap this up. Final flurries. Mario, that was great. You getting back to a reunion, hanging out with some old friends, Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Dinner.
I have one question.
I watched that show, Saved by the Dinner.
Where was Screech?
It
Come
was.
on,
Oh,
man.
don't be cold as ice. Screech lives in Wisconsin, and it wasn't a reunion. We all.
Come on, man.
I'm the only one that's cool with them. The other guys are not that cool with them.
He's kind of a black sheep.
I was nice with
so
him.
He's the black Screech of the family.
I was
Anyway.
always cool with Screech. I had no problem. I know he wrote that book, but poor guy needed the money. He hasn't been as blessed.
He's done some other things for some money too.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't want to kick a guy when he's down. So I was always cool with them, but they weren't happy.
So
But it wasn't a reunion. We all actually talk. We keep in
Yeah.
touch. We just haven't gotten together for a dinner, all of us. But it was nice to see. And it was our spouses. So it was Tiffany,
Saw her.
Kelly, and Elizabeth.
But wait a minute, where was Mr.
Jesse,
Belding?
Dude, you know what happened? And I was going to tell, I forgot to tell Frazier, or the
on.
radio producer, this, that I was going to call Belding and say, hey, did Frazier not give you the invite to the dinner? Did he screw you on the invite? I'm going to tell him that.
Yeah.
Because he's boys with him.
Yeah, right.
So he's boys with him. So I'm going to tell him about that. That's right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, there he comes, Frazier.
Should I tell the story about how he used to go to the Glendale Mall with you, the Galleria, to look at puppies when you were younger?
So stupid.
Should I tell that story?
Look at puppies. That sounds creepy, dude.
He told us that was true. And
said that? I was like 15.
Oh, so it is
It
true.
took me one time.
So wait a minute. So that was the terminology.
I'm gonna tell him. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him that, Frazier. I'm gonna tell you forgot to invite him. Frazier didn't invite you.
And I will give him your home address.
Oh no. Oh no. So Belding was not there. That would have been. But it was fun, man. Everybody was with the spouses. It was fun.
You showed me something, Lo. In my eyes, your status just went up. You really are a forgiving Catholic. That you're the only guy that could even stand Screech.
Yeah, I like him. And he was here. Did we do an interview with him?
We did maybe 2 or 3 years ago when he first got out of prison.
Yeah, he was cool. He first got out of prison. He did, and because he stabbed someone on Christmas Day at a bar. How sad is that? You stab someone on Christmas. Yeah, my mom's going, what? Yeah, you didn't hear about that, Mom? He was with his girlfriend. Look, Frazier knows because he kicks it with him too.
To be fair, I believe it was a pocket knife. It wasn't.
Well, regardless, pocket knife will do the trick.
Yeah, well, that makes it okay then.
Yeah.
Now if it was a Ginsu,
Right. No, he was with his girlfriend, and somebody was saying something, and he stabbed him.
Yeah.
With the pocket
Don't
knife,
you be
he had to go to
disrespecting
jail.
Screech's woman.
I'm just telling you,
don't do
exactly.
that.
Don't step to Screech's girl.
Yeah.
He'll shank you if that's the case. But then we're gonna get together again. This time with our kids.
Oh, that'll be very
So that'll
nice.
be fun. So it was nice to see everybody.
Mario, my time in New York, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Guess where I got my nightcaps?
Jimmy's Corner.
The Mecca.
That's my spot. I used to live right across the street.
You used to be there every night. He still remembers you fondly, by the way.
Yeah. You didn't see the picture. Did I take you to that bar, Dad? Yeah, it was bar. Best jukebox in the city. I always say that because it really is. But it's cool, old school bar where they shot Raging Bull. They've got my picture right there. Jimmy Glenn likes me, right? That's my boy.
He loves you.
Yeah, that's cool. You never tell him what's up.
And then the other thing is you could literally buy drinks there all night, and in Vegas it'll be like $400. You get the bill at Jimmy's Corner, it's like $88.
Dude,
I don't
and
know
that's New York. That's amazing.
I don't know how he keeps his doors open, but that place is an absolute institution. And for any fight fan, to me, I think it's a checklist or bucket list because it has boxing memorabilia and pictures. And Jimmy Glenn was actually very close to Muhammad Ali, Teddy Brenner. He's been a corner man. He's owned gyms. Sugar Ray Robinson was actually a very good friend of him.
Oh,
of
yeah.
his. And
he's got
so
great stories.
anyone
He's a
that's
great
in
guy.
New York, please drop by Jimmy's Corner. Mario, before we get to the Game of Thrones, I didn't get to see it, but you want to say a few things. The NFL draft, I remember as a kid, before I'd go to Montebello High School, you watch like the first 4 picks at like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's like this big prime time thing. It's amazing.
Dude,
how
I got
this-
invited to go to this draft party.
Oh, are you gonna
celebration
announce
with
a pick?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
no,
you should
for
do
the
that.
Chargers.
Chargers one, yeah.
Yeah, with the Chargers one, because I know the Spanos is right, and I was like, wow, I don't remember it to this level either.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's looking like maybe Kyler Murray #1, Nick Bosa 2. And Nick Bosa took some heat a little while ago for
Why?
being honest
Yeah.
and giving his opinion, which was ridiculous. What did he say? He did. What did he say?
Well, he
Nick
was
Bosa?
pro-Trump. That was the
Yeah.
thing.
He doesn't like Beyonce's music.
Yeah, that was a bigger offense to people.
He didn't like Black
That was
Panther.
a big. Yeah, okay.
So God forbid you have a difference of opinion, or you're not in line. That's awful.
So Mario, they should actually.
kid's a beast though.
Now Mario,
I can't wait till the
what they
Niners.
do in the second, third rounds, they will have celebrities that they know are fans or former players or mayors announce the pick. I can see you now. Up to the stage, Mario Lopez to introduce the 58th pick of the third. Well, aren't you doing that?
They asked me to do.
You
a
should
little
do
something. I
it.
can't, but
That's-
I gotta.
No, but that's on Saturday, day 3. You have to Friday. You'll be at the fight. Thursday's round 1. Come on.
Next year, I'll work on it.
Okay, Mario.
That'd be dope, right?
Yeah.
Mario, I did not get to watch Game of Thrones till tonight. I'm hearing different things on Twitter. There are certain people that we respect. They're not happy with the first 2 episodes. Your view?
I think. Well, no one's gonna be happy unless the episodes are at least 2 hours long, and that's not been the case. This one was a little bit longer. I think the first one was 52. This one's like 56 or 8.
Mhm.
They're setting up. That was probably the most heartfelt episode they've had on
Ooh.
GOT. No one died. Okay, and on the heels of the reunions, you had a couple more, and you had peace being brokered with like Sansa and Khaleesi. But then Khaleesi, when she was asked about what about the Iron Throne and giving us back House or Winterfell, and she was like, no. But then she was fine. Jon Snow finally confronted her about that. Hey, my aunt, we probably can't be doing it anymore. But with the shocker everyone had with Arya Stark, dude, was getting busy because they think the world was going to end. So she finally.
That's nice.
She finally got some loving, right? That's nice. But she looks 12 years old, but she's
Yeah.
22 years old. There's one part that bugged me, and people that watch the show will know it. When they were handing out soup in the soup line the whole time, there was a big old thing of bread right there. And no one got the soup. I was getting anxiety watching. No one got the bread when they were getting the soup. You got to get the bread with the soup to dip it in. I was telling Nichols earlier. That part was bothering
Especially in
me.
the winter. You need to like
Exactly.
You don't want to cut out the carbs.
No,
you really
you
don't.
got to carb up. You
Gotta-
got to
gotta
carb
carb
up.
up.
Yeah, but it was a good episode. We're gonna have nothing but war the next couple episodes.
Okay, good. Final thing here. If you want to buy the sweatshirt, the hoodie that Mario and his father, boy, you guys have never looked better. This is like a great
I'ma post
version of
that
Sadie
pic.
Hawkins, man. I'm
I'ma
just telling
post the
you.
pic.
But if you want to buy any of the merchandise we got, hats, T-shirts, hoodies, different sizes, female, male, go to
Mugs.
3knockdownrule.com. And mugs, yes, the one I'm drinking out of right now. I got to tell you, my water never tasted so effervescent. I mean, could you imagine Perrier in this? I mean, honestly,
That's what
hold
I'm
on.
talking about. They're good looking. They're good looking.
Oh, God, it just tastes so damn good.
Doesn't it?
All right, so anyway, 3knockdownrule.com. And again, one of 2 shows this week. I cannot wait for Eddie Hearn.
Sir Eddie Hearn will be joining us on Friday. Hopefully, breaking news. We got a fight later on that night. So it's gonna
And
be a great
Eddie,
day.
bring some tickets for Mario. Just a reminder. Anyway, all
Senior.
right, well, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule. On behalf of Mario Lopez and Justin Nichols, this is Steve Kim saying goodbye, everybody.